before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that, well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion.
This guy in the 80s is telling us exactly what they've been doing to us. These people pray to Marx. They literally think growing government will become a better situation for all. You know what equality is? And this is from someone that was on InfoWars, who's a female who lived in communist Maoist post-China. Equality means you all don't have hot water. Equality means you all have to dry your clothes on the outside of your tiny little porch. Equality means you all don't have filtered water. Equality means you all might not eat that night. That's equality. They're all equal. But the top, they love it. Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or formerly known as Sandy. Sandy. Capitalists walk their dogs, socialists eat them.
Or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
Yeah.
It's a great brainwashing process which goes...
KGB agent here telling us about everything in the 80s, and it came true.
Very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black. You still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense.
Everything he's speaking about right now is so completely true and correct. And I asked Marf this the first time I called. I said, what do we do with these people? They literally have brainwashed masses who completely spew facts that are not correct, and that's because the media allows them to. One thing I do like about Trump, Mr. T, is first of all that he had gotten me awakened, but secondly, he actually speaks about this. Who else would have done that? Could you imagine currently if Mrs. HC and Tony Vespa, you know, the one who has been recorded like screaming at little children, you know, like, you know, so they get really, really scared, and, you know, their adrenaline goes, and, you know, they love their, the cells that are RAD. They love to drink that, you know, I don't even know what to say, because I'm trying to silence myself so much, and they catch everything. They know what I'm talking about. Let's continue.
People who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people have been programmed and, as you say, in place, and who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept. These are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country.
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will be very unhappy, frustrated people.
It's too late. You thought equally they would take everybody's guns away, and equally there would be no armed citizenship, so equally everybody would be safe, but equally the government has power over your life. Equally. Nothing is equal. Nothing is equal. And if you depend on the government to help you obtain security, then I don't think you understand our Constitution. And you need to reread the First and the Second Amendment. This guy in the 80s is telling us exactly how it's going.
And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. They will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get
KGB agent,
popular, like
KGB agent, knows rhetoric, knows Marxism, knows communism, 80s.
Like Daniel Ellsberg, and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be a greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he...
Guys, he is speaking everything from the early 80s. Before I was even born, he told us this was going to happen. It's a CIA op. Destroy families. Flood the country, people who will not assimilate, alright? Just like Tucker Carlson says. They tried to call him racist and smear him on shit. All he simply said in his show was, the more differences someone has, how does that make you more equal, and how does that make you get along with each other more? My next door neighbors here, they don't speak English. Their kid choked to death the other night. Wouldn't breathe. The next door neighbor had to come over because the people on the phone couldn't speak Spanish. They couldn't speak Spanish. It's sad. In Florida, you don't have operators on 911. There was a little kid where she just handed him to the next door neighbor. The next door neighbor had to get on the phone with the operator and get help. She came out with her hand, her baby in her hand held out. That's sad. I'm not racist. I love them. I love my next door neighbors. Do your own thing. That's not the point. The point is subversion of our country. All right, our rights, our values. These people might. I don't know when they came here or if they care to learn the language or whatnot. It would have been nice, because they would have been able to speak with the people. But Florida, and you don't have Spanish operators. I find that highly doubtful.
Is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. So basically America is stuck with demoralization, and unless, even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism.
So what he just said is, all the people that Trump just woke up doesn't mean a damn thing. The majority are still brainwashed. And it's going to take them 20 years to actually see. Like he said, you can take them to the fun camps and show them. And they still will say, no, I don't believe it. He said it all. I'll probably do more videos on this guy. Let's play a little bit more. Let's hear what he has to say.
The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast.
Wow. This is in the 80s.
The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis.
Too late.
To promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition.
Socialism. That's exactly what he's talking about right now. Let's hear that again.
And to put a big brother government.
Yep.
When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis. To promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. He will go to Moscow to kiss the bottoms of new generation of Soviet assassins, never mind. He will create false illusions that the situation is under control. Situation is not under control. Situation is disgustingly out of control. Most of the American politicians, media, and educational system trains another generation of people who think they are living at a peacetime. False. The United States is in the state of war. Undeclared total war against the basic principles and the foundations of this system. And
God.
the initiator of this war is not Comrade Andropov, of course. It's the system.
Wow.
However ridiculous it may sound, the world communist system or the world communist conspiracy, whether I scare some people or not, I don't give a hoot. If you are not scared by now, nothing can scare you.
Oh my Lord. In the 80s, he said, if you're not scared by now from the evidence coming from the Marxist Americans, then you're done. This is ridiculous.
But you don't have to be paranoid about it. What actually happens now, that unlike myself, you have literally several years to live on unless the United States wake up. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to.
Yeah.
Unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Okay, so
Exactly.
what
That's
do
the
we
reason
do?
why
What
it's-
is your recommendation to the American people?
Well, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real day.
Real patriotism. When Macron says that nationalism is literally racist and is not patriotic, when you look up the definition nationalism, you'll see patriotism. Lying. Diverting.
Of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals.
Watch the rest. Watch the rest. I love y'all. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta get some sleep. I worked a 13-hour shift yesterday, came home, slept like 2 hours, went, and I didn't know I was scheduled for the gas station, but I was. So I went to work, all right? I don't call out, all right? I need to make money. I need to save my money. I love you. Jesus Christ. All right, I love y'all. This guy's on top of it. Born Hawkeye. I'm out.